Hey everyone, welcome back. Ethan Young here, career coach, former Scotiabank intern, current software consultant at Oracle, helping students and full time employees move into higher paying roles. Today we're going to talk about posting on LinkedIn for job offers. Okay, so this is an area that not a lot of people really dive into. Posting on LinkedIn can be scary. It's something that a lot of people like to do because they don't like to put themselves out there, but with the job hunt, you have to put yourself out there if you want to be seen, you want to be known, you want to be recognized by recruiters and hiring managers, right? So putting yourself out there does a lot for you, right? So why even post on LinkedIn? Okay? So let's go through some reasons here. We got reasons A to E. The first one is search engine optimization. So that's SEO, search engine optimization. Think about a Google search, for example. Whenever you search up McDonald's, the first result is going to be the McDonald's that you're thinking of. But chances are there probably are some other businesses out there that you've just never heard of before that probably are also have the similar name as McDonald's or have the exact same name as McDonald's, but they're not going to show up on that search result, probably not even on the first page because their search engine optimization isn't that strong. Okay? The McDonald's you're thinking of is the one that wins and appears on the first page. Now, why is that important? Because when recruiters do searches through LinkedIn and they're looking for people to recruit, because that's their job, when they search up certain keywords using Boolean factors, Boolean searches, Boolean queries, they're going to type in certain keywords that they're looking for. And if you're not appearing first or on the first page, then you're probably never going to get reached out to by a recruiter, right? So you have to optimize your LinkedIn, and one of the ways to do that is to actually post on LinkedIn, right? Because if you have a lot of engagement and a lot of traction, a lot of posts, and you're actually active on LinkedIn, LinkedIn is more likely to actually promote your profile to the top of these recruiting searches, which means that these recruiters will actually find you, right? So one of the way that I got my current job at Oracle doing software consulting, I was actually reached out to by a recruiter. And I wasn't even doing that much posting at the time. I was doing some posting, but a recruiter reached out to me and they said, "Hey, I came across your profile. Would you be interested in sending your resume our way? We can have a special look at it." Right. So I basically went through a special portal that way because a recruiter reached out to me. So, having posts on LinkedIn, it does help with your search engine optimization for recruiters to find you. Right. It drives profile views specifically from recruiters. Credibility and social proof. When you have a lot of posts on LinkedIn, and these are some good, juicy posts, you automatically just, you're like this person that people want to follow. People want to see more. People want to engage with you more. They just automatically see you as someone with prowess, right? Because social status today is it's huge, right? Think about any celebrity. For them to have a personal brand and sell it, they need social media. It's so hard to sell things without social media. You need a good Instagram, you need a good LinkedIn, you need a good YouTube channel, whatever the case is, depending on what you do. When it comes to the job hunt, what you need is a good LinkedIn profile because that drives credibility in your industry, depending on what you're looking at. And it drives social proof, right? If you have thousands of followers, wow, it's just like an automatic tick that goes off in the recruiter's brain. Like, wow, a lot of people are engaging with this guy's post. I'm kind of curious now about this person, right? Hire coffee chat to referral conversions. This one's kind of interesting. But whenever you're cold DMing people, right? And maybe this is something I should actually add over here. Higher conversion for cold DMs plus email to coffee chat, right? So basically, what happens here is when you have a good, strong profile with actual posts on it, there's a higher chance that someone that you've had a coffee chat with is likely to refer you. And here's the reason why. People refer people that they're more familiar with. If they're not familiar with you enough, they don't trust you enough, they're not going to refer you. One of the ways that you get people to become more familiar with you is that if you keep popping up on their feed in LinkedIn, well, then automatically you're building familiarity and rapport with them without actually having to meet them one on one, right? So if you had a coffee chat with someone and they've been engaging with your post, and maybe you've also been DMing them on the side and also sending them some cool articles or sending them some of the posts, some of your posts that you think would resonate well with them, then you're automatically building rapport, which makes going for the close for the referral a lot easier. Okay. So actually posting on LinkedIn, it surprisingly will also actually help you convert your coffee chats to referrals a lot easier. Okay. Higher conversion for cold DMs plus emails to coffee chats. Okay, this one's also interesting. Similar tangent here though. When you are cold DMing people and cold emailing them and you have your LinkedIn attached, of course, especially if you're DMing people on LinkedIn, of course, they're going to check out your LinkedIn. And if you just have no posts on there, it's like, how do they really determine whether they want to actually hop on a chat with you? If they find that you have some really cool posts, right? Like I was just posting recently about how I was in Chicago. 2 weeks ago, I was in Nashville, right? I'm posting like these cool kind of personal updates with like a job hunt twist to it. And it's interesting. And people they are drawn to that. It's like, wow, this guy seems very adventurous and they want to know more. So they're happy to take a chat with me, right? Like when I reach out to people for coffee chats, I have a pretty good success rate. When I was in university, I had maybe a 10% success rate for cold DMs to actual coffee chats. Now it's probably north of 50% based on what I've seen, right? I reach out to someone, they get back to me, they're more than willing to hop on the coffee chat with me. Actually, it's probably not like closer to 50%. It's probably like I want to say 30% maybe. I don't really know the exact numbers, but that's roughly 3x of where it used to be, and that's because I am just constantly posting. I'm close to 10,000 followers. People see this, people see my posts. They are more than happy to take a coffee chat with me, right? So it actually helps you convert cold DMs and emails to actual coffee chats. Point number, what is this, 5 now? Pre-selling for interview. What does this mean? So when you get to an interview, you can help sell yourself as a candidate by having cool posts on your LinkedIn, because every time you go into interview, the recruiter, the hiring manager, whoever is interviewing you will already have seen your LinkedIn. And so they're trying to build this idea of this notion of who are you as a person, right? And if you have some really cool LinkedIn posts and they're digging deep into those posts and they're reading more about you, again, you're building familiarity and rapport with them without even talking to them, right? So you're doing this all through your posts. So as you're pre-selling them before you get to the interview, that gives you more leeway, more of a gap to kind of fall on a cushion in case you do mess up pretty badly on the interview. Well, guess what? They've already seen a lot of your other posts. They might be a bit more lenient when it comes to actually criticizing and judging how your performance was on that interview. So this is pre-selling on the interview, okay? And then lastly, it keeps your network aware of the fact that you're on the job hunt. The more people that know about your job hunt and the fact that they keep seeing it in their feed, it's good because if you're in their mind, this is kind of relates to um, the Aber-Meinhof phenomenon, that concept, right? Which is, for example, let's say you came across this one very old song one day on YouTube, and you really like the song. You're like, oh my gosh, I really remember this song. It brings back nostalgia. And then suddenly you start seeing that exact same song like everywhere. It's like suddenly now it's playing on the radio. Suddenly all your friends are talking about it. It's like this weird phenomenon. But really, it's not that suddenly the world is listening to you and they started to already play the song instantaneously because you were listening to it. It's actually been playing that whole time, in fact, with the same frequency. It's just that you've started to notice it more because that song's at the forefront of your mind and your mind is constantly looking for it, right? So if your people in your network are more familiar with you, they keep seeing you, they have a high frequency of you in their brain, they're more likely to think about you first when a job opportunity does come up. They'll think, "Oh yeah, you know what? I just saw Ethan had a post about how he's looking for a new role. You know what? Yeah, I just spoke to Sally yesterday. I think Ethan might fit well in this new accounting internship that we have, right?" So it keeps your network aware of the fact that you're in the job hunt. If people know about you and they keep seeing about the fact that you're in a job hunt, that's perfect because people will reach out to you at that point, and they're more likely to bring up opportunities to you. Okay. So a boatload of reasons why to post on LinkedIn. I mean, after reading these reasons, it's like, why would you not post on LinkedIn? I get it; it's scary. I remember the first time I started posting on LinkedIn, I would literally reread everything to the point where it's like I was just kind of scared, and I would keep refreshing to see what people were commenting or how many impressions I was getting. Now I'll be writing a post, on the back of an Uber in like 10 minutes, and I just post it, do a quick a proofread, and I just post it. Right? Sometimes there's errors, sometimes there's grammar mistakes. It doesn't matter, right? I post every single day. So I've kind of desensitized myself to stop caring about what people think about my posts. Okay. Now, what exactly should you post on LinkedIn? We'll actually go through some examples in a moment here, but let me walk you through some different types of content that you could post on LinkedIn. I have about 7 different styles or different types of posts that you could make. So the first one is skills and courses content, especially if you're a student. This is pretty good, right? But also, if you're a full time employee, this also works as well. So if you just learned a new skill, don't just do like a certificate post that says, "Oh, I just got this new certificate." No one cares about that. Talk about why this skill is important to learn. Talk about why the skill was interesting to learn. Talk about how you could apply the skill to some type of job or role, right? Or if you're in university and there's a cool course you just completed, or then talk about why that course was applicable to a consulting role if you want to pursue a consulting role, right? So actually give a story and talk a bit more in depth about the skill or course that you just completed instead of just saying, "Oh, just completed a new certificate," right? Just the generic LinkedIn post that you get with the prompt. Okay, so that's the first example. Second example is a job hunt content, right? So this could be, I have an example of this later of a guy who did this pretty well. He'll talk about, for example, what he learned from doing an interview with a certain company. You don't have to don't name drop these companies for sure, right? You want to keep them on the down low. You don't want to build any bad reputation. But he'll talk about, for example, oh, I just had an interview, and surprisingly, this company actually gave 30 minutes of feedback to me. This is what I learned about, this company and how I need to be tackling these interviews better. Right? That's job hunt content. It keeps people aware of the fact that you are job hunting. That's really important. Okay. The third one is events content. Okay. So events content. This could be, oh, I just attended a 24-hour case competition with Deloitte. Cool. Post about that. What did you learn? How did you do? What was your performance like? What were some of the challenges you faced, right? It could be a conference that you just attended. I just attended a cool tech conference where I met so and so and I learned about this and that. That's events content. Project content, this is cool. If you have some type of passion project or you're learning something cool on the side that you're taking initiative on, or it could also just be a project from school itself or a new course that you're doing, post about what you're learning, why it's challenging, and how it could be applicable to a job. Industry insight content, this one is pretty cool. I've seen people do this before where they do like a weekly series of, oh, this is what the new financial trends are saying, right? So if they're targeting investment banking or say that some type of economics role, they'll talk about how the current Canadian economy is doing, right? And they'll just give updates every single week through a LinkedIn post. It shows credibility, it shows that you're interested in it, and it actually does pick up some recruiters' attention because they like seeing that. And especially before you go into an interview, not only are you really equipped now because you've done all this reading about economics before going into this investment banking role, but it also shows to the recruiter and the interviewer, they will actually look at this profile and be like, "Wow, this guy is actually pretty knowledgeable. I like that he's taking the initiative to learn about this, which is really important to this role." And yeah, he really does know quite a bit. I like this guy. Okay, you have coffee chat content. This is kind of similar to the job hunt process, right? You'll talk about, oh, I just had a coffee chat with so and so, and please get their permission first before posting this. I just had a coffee chat with so and so, or you can keep them anonymous. I just had a coffee chat with someone from one of the big four accounting firms. This is what I learned about why their culture is so why their culture makes them so successful, and the importance of mentorship and coaching. Right, something like cool like that. You want to put them in a good light. Remember, don't tarnish your reputation. Keep it good. Right, you're only posting positive stuff here. The last one is personal development content. This could be, for example, oh, I just read a new book, and it might have nothing to do with job hunt, but you can still try to twist it to be a job hunt, right? But you don't have to. You can keep it completely personal. That has nothing to do with job hunt. That's completely fine. Oh, I just ran a first half marathon. I just ran my first marathon. Cool. Talk about why it was challenging. Talk about what you learned, right? Again, it's not really related to the job hunt specifically, but it can be analogous, or there can be some parallels, of course. Okay, how do you write to post? How do you write the posts? Well, let's go into some examples. Okay, so let's see here. I have an example of this guy right here, Ian. He's a software as a service sales at Cloud Talk. We actually interned at the same time at Scotiabank, not in the same role, but around the same time we were working at Scotiabank and as an internship. So this guy over here is doing what's called an industry insight post, right? So I mean, this is like 2 years ago. I'm not sure what type of role he was trying to go for. Maybe it was investment banking, some type of economics related role. But you can see here, he's talking about stocks and he's talking about the stock market, right? So he's talking about different stocks and how different industry sectors within these stock markets are performing. And he's giving his own analysis on these different stocks and how the stock market is performing, right? So it's interesting to see that he's taking the time to learn about the stock market, and he probably was trying to go into some type of job that was related to studying the stock market quite a bit, right? So could be some type of analyst position, right? So it's interesting to see, and this is a really good example. He definitely goes quite in detail, and it's nothing crazy, right? It's not like you're writing a complete 5 paragraph essay. There definitely are some paragraphs in here, but it's nothing insane. It's not a lot of words, and you get some engagement on it, right? He has one comment, 11 likes. And now this is a post that he could feature on his profile so that whenever an interviewer is about to interview him and they look at his LinkedIn, they can see this in his featured section to see that, wow, this guy's interested in stocks. You know what? A lot of her work actually has to do with stocks. This guy's perfect. Okay. So this is an example of just creating content regarding industry insights. You want to make it similar, you want to make it relatable or relevant to the industry you're actually targeting. Okay. So, a lot of people in marketing do this so often, right? So if they're going to marketing roles, what they'll do is they will post content about, oh, this is what McDonald's just did that completely shook the marketing scene, right? And they'll talk about a new ad campaign that they did that's like maybe it's controversial or it's just crazy, it's never been done before, right? They'll talk about these different brands, and that's industry insights. Those are really cool posts to make and make you seem very credible, and they're fun to make, honestly, and it helps you a lot learn because when you get into these interviews, you'll have a lot more to talk about, right? And you can even reference these. You can be like, the interviewer might say something like, oh, do you know much about stocks, right? And you'd be like, oh, actually, yeah, I have a weekly series on LinkedIn where I post, my insights. I study the stock market quite closely, and it's really something would love to do for a job. And I post weekly. In fact, last week I was talking about how Apple, Nvidia, Microsoft, and Tesla, what I'm thinking about there and their 50-day moving averages and the U.S. energy stocks, right? You can allude to them, and it's just going to make you sound hella smart. Okay. So that's one example here. Let's go to the next example. Okay, here we go. This guy, Ahmad, doing an awesome job. Awesome job. This is related to a job hunt type of content. Okay, so another type of piece of content here. This guy's talking about the lessons he's learned from his interviews. Okay. So he's talking, he was laid off at some point and he went through his job hunt process. Now he's doing really well working as a solutions operation analyst at Zip. Really happy for this guy. And during that time, he was posting about once a week about his job hunt process. And it worked really well for him to the point where he even had Salesforce knocking on his door saying, hey, we saw your post, would you be interested in interviewing? He had a bunch of other companies message him, but it just goes to show that it works, guys. It works, right? So this is an example where he talks about his lessons from interviews, right? He has 3 different points. This one's definitely a lengthier post, but look at the length here. And then if I keep scrolling down, so he's talking about his 3 key concepts that he's learned. And just a fun photo with his cat, some good engagement, right? 36 reactions and 2 comments on it, right? So some good engagement. He's definitely had some posts that have hit pretty well in the hundreds of reactions. But this isn't a good example, I would say, of a job hunt type of process where it does 2 things. One, you're actually reflecting, and in writing this out, you're actually learning, right? Part of this isn't just to show people. Part of it is actually for yourself, internal facing, for you to learn. Okay. The second thing that this does is it makes people aware that if you are actively interviewing with companies, that means you're on the job hunt, which means, okay, this Ahmad guy, he's on the job hunt. Okay, already he's in the forefront of my mind. I'm thinking about it. And if I keep seeing all these posts, I'm going to keep thinking about this guy. I get curious about this guy. You know what? Maybe I want to help him out. Maybe I want to start tagging him on some LinkedIn posts for a new job hunt. Or if I already know this guy, then now I know, oh, he's on the job hunt. Let me help him out. He's a good friend of mine, right? So this is a good example of job hunt post. Okay, let's go to a third example here. Okay, think about what's a post. This person is doing a post about an event. Okay, so she's doing a post about an event, and she's talking about how she just competed at this JDCC case competition as part of Master the Groots, um, I guess one of their clubs, right? So she's talking about uh, kind of in a nutshell what the event was, and then she goes in to talk about the challenge that she faced, which is really good, really well written. And then she also thanks her teammates. She's tagging them, which is great for them. It's good visibility for them too to get tagged, drive some more engagement to your profile. And then she's also just giving her reflections and her thanks and her gratitude to the people that she's met along the way and the people that she's worked with on this case competition. And it's a post filled with a lot of gratitude. There's photos. You want to have a lot of photos, guys, of you and working in teams, you doing awesome things on your LinkedIn profile. It's really going to help a lot. You can see here she has a ton of engagement on this. She has 129 reactions. She got 37 comments, right? This is a post that does really well with recruiters. They're going to love this type of post. They see one, wow, this person is really active when it comes to school clubs. They love that so much. They love people who take initiative, that are serious about building their career. One of the ways to show that you're trying to build your career and set yourself up for success in the future is by joining these clubs and being an active member, right? Two, it's showing that she's actually signing up for these case competitions, right? The 24-hour, I don't know if it's 24 hour, but she's doing some type of case competition. That's time in the day that you have to take out of school or work, whatever you're doing, to actually go and do these case competitions. And three, it gives a sense of social proof, right? People like social proof. People like to choose people to work at their company if other people have chosen them too. In this case, the judges chose that. I don't know how she did really. I didn't read the post fully. But let's say she won first place. And that's an example of social proof because someone is choosing them to win, right? Which automatically tells us that if other people are choosing this person, it's safe for me to choose them too. That's how our brain works. That's social proof, right? It's called pre-selection. Okay. So a lot of things are happening with this post. There's a lot of psychology behind posting on LinkedIn, guys. It's super, super helpful to post on LinkedIn. I highly recommend you post on LinkedIn. Now, this begs the question. How often should we be posting if we're job hunting? Okay. I think even if you're not job hunting, you should be posting because it honestly is fun to do, and it keeps you fresh. And also, if you just want to build your own personal brand, because at some point maybe you get laid off, well then, if you've been posting, you have that personal brand already there. Or maybe you want to sell something else, right? You want to sell something else on LinkedIn that's not related to your 9 to 5 job. Then it helps to have that personal brand. So how often should you post? It depends, right? So if you want to take this seriously, I would say 1 to 3 times a week is good. Even once a week is fine. I've seen people with great success posting just once a week. The minimum is once a week, though. I wouldn't go any lengthier than that. Minimum is once a week. If you do 3 times a week, that's really good. Now, some people will go a bit heavier, and I honestly don't really recommend this because the juice is just not worth the squeeze at that point if you're posting every day, right? For a job hunt, it's not really necessary to post every day. I could see it be necessary for other avenues, like other pursuits not related to a job hunt, if you're building your personal brand to sell a service or product on LinkedIn. But if you're just doing job hunting, I would say 1 to 3 times a week is honestly ideal. Okay, so let's just note this down here. Okay, so 1 to 3 posts per week. This is kind of like the minimum to the maximum, I would say, works well with people who, at 3 posts a week, that's on the higher end. It doesn't take too long to build these posts out, but it's definitely some time depending on, especially if you're doing like an industry insights post, or even, I mean, all three of these posts were definitely a bit lengthier. It can take some time to write them out. Okay. So 1 to 3 posts per week for most people, posting just once a week is completely fine. And again, you want to take some of these posts at the end too and kind of throw them into the featured section on your LinkedIn profile. Okay. So if I go to my profile right now, you'll see here I just have a featured section, right? These are just some of my fun posts that I really liked writing, and I thought, either they did well or they didn't do well, but I feel like it just tells a bit more about me. Most of these are more like comedic posts, but I just like to feature them here because I really like these posts, and I wanted people to see these posts when they first land on my profile. For you, what you should do is you want to find posts that, one, do well, but two, kind of tell a story about you, right? So you might want to have one post about industry insights in your featured section. You might want to have one post about, let's say it's your job hunt, right? That should be in your featured section. And you might want to have one post about, like some type of event or new learning or skill, right? You can have one of each really about the different types of content that we've talked about in your featured section, because that's going to be the first set of posts that people, interviewers, recruiters are going to see there. Okay. So again, guys, this is all about posting on LinkedIn. There's so many benefits that we talk about to posting on LinkedIn. You don't have to be crazy with it. Just 1 to 3 posts per week. We talked about different posts that you could make, different types of content on LinkedIn, and also how to actually write the post. We went through 3 different examples. And again, just you can copy people's formats, right? You can copy people's ideas on LinkedIn and try to formulate your own and go off of that from a tangent and trajectory, right, to create your own content, right? So don't feel like you're completely lost. Look at what other people are doing on LinkedIn, and yeah, just use this video as well. This is Ethan Young here. I'm a career coach, former Scotiabank intern, current software consultant at Oracle. I help students and full time employees move into higher paying jobs, the salaries that they actually deserve to be making. And these are for ambitious people only that I work with. So if you're interested in working with me, send me a DM on LinkedIn. I put my LinkedIn in the description, and I'll put it in the, or it probably won't be in the description, maybe, but it'll for sure be in my YouTube bio, my description there. So reach out to me if you're interested in working with me, and we'll chat soon, everyone. Best of luck.